Hey guys, what's up? So, no, you're not having deja vu. I know this outfit looks a little familiar, but I decided to bulk film today. So for this video for today, I'm gonna be getting a little more personal, not too personal, maybe a little personal for some of you guys, but I really just want to touch up on this topic that clearly in my title it says dealing with your parents' divorce as an adult. And I just want to talk about this topic because I feel like, first off, it's very important, but I feel like it's really not something that is talked about. And mainly because when you're an adult, people don't really, I don't want to say they don't care, but it's definitely not as serious as it is when you're a child. So it's like, obviously I am not a child, like a little kid of divorce. I am a child of divorce, but an adult child of divorce. So I cannot speak on how it's affected me as a little kid, but from what I have seen and from friends that I know whose parents have been divorced ever since they were little, I know that like when you're young, people worry a lot about children because they worry about how they're going to be affected by it in the long run. They're worried about, you know, their emotions and their feelings. And really like what kind of person it's going to shape them up to be, because like, yeah, we're all different people, we all function differently, but a lot of the time you start being affected when you're a child. As somebody whose parents divorced when they were 24 going on 25, it's definitely not been as easy as I feel like it should be. It also hasn't been like completely difficult, but like the reason why it's been difficult is because as an adult you don't really talk about it, like unless your family is very vocal with each other and very like therapy friendly family, and you know you have somebody that you can go and talk to. You don't talk about it, you really don't. And that's kind of the case that it's been in my life and like my family. Like my family has never really sat down and talked about what happened and like how it's affected all of us and stuff. And you know, like it's kind of more difficult because we're all grown up. I'm the youngest of my siblings and I am 26 years old, you know, so like my siblings are just a couple years older than me, but we're all around the same age range. But it's like I'm the only one that's still living with my mom. But other than that, you know, we're all very busy with, we all have our lives, so like it's really difficult to talk about. But like other than that, it just sucks because when you're an adult and you deal with these kinds of things, people expect you to kind of just like bounce back really quick. You know, you're like, oh, you hear the news that your parents are getting divorced for whatever reason they're getting divorced, and you're kind of just like, holy shit, like your world is literally turned around. Because you know, even if you know your parents are parents that had problems for a long time, or you know maybe their relationship wasn't the best anymore, it's like the fact that they're still married, it's kind of like you're believing that your parents are going to be married for a really long time, and then one day you wake up and they're just like, you know, we're getting a divorce, and you're kind of like, wait, what? You know, so it's just like, it's crazy. But at the same time, you really don't have any time to like dwell on it or to feel any like really emotions on it, you know, because it's like, oh, you know, my parents told me they're separating, but I gotta get to work in 3 hours, so I'm not gonna sit here and sob about it. I'm just gonna have to go to work. And then, you know, at work they expect you to be, you know, on your best behavior and leave your emotions and your personal lives at the door. And there's so much that you don't get to feel, and it eventually becomes really overwhelming. Like when you're a little kid and your parents are going through stuff and say, you know, they get divorced, like unless, like I said, your parents are very vocal and they really don't care, most of the time what parents say to their children are, mommy and daddy don't love each other anymore. Okay, so it doesn't matter what it is, it usually is mommy and daddy don't love each other anymore, so therefore they're gonna go their separate ways, you know. But when you're an adult, those words don't work on you anymore, because you're literally aware of everything that's been happening, because your parents don't hold back anymore. Your parents are like, this, your mom did this, your dad did that, and blah 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 blah. And then you get caught up in like the drama, you know, because if it's not like, oh, like I said, all my siblings and I were all grown, so it's not like my parents had a custody battle or who's gonna go with who or who's gonna end up with who. Like it wasn't anything of that. But now it was literally like we knew every detail of what happened. We knew everything, you know. Like I had to see my mom at like the worst that I have ever seen my mom in my life, and that was already really hurtful. And you know, like I said, like we all have our own lives, so we all kind of had to keep going with our lives. So it wasn't really like anything that any of us could really do about it. I didn't really deal with the pain of it up until, I want to say, maybe like a little over a year after it. And it was the first time I ever broke down about it. It was actually my first birthday without my dad completely, because my dad was the one that moved out of the house. And you know, the year that they said they were separating, he still was here. He helped us cook for my birthday, because I had a party and stuff. So he helped us make food, and he was here for like the majority of the party, and you know that. But then the next year, it's when he had left the house, and my parents were no longer like talking in terms of any sort. And so just the thought of like having to be without my dad on my birthday was just like really, really painful to me. And so I remember I broke down one day, and I was just like, I can't believe, like, it just, because from the moment it happened until that moment that I had a breakdown, I never really thought about it. You know, like, I continued to live my life. I didn't really tell anybody about it either. Like, literally, aside from my close friends and like some family, nobody knew what was going on. No one. And I remember like the first few times that I started talking openly about my parents, and I was like, oh yeah, my parents are divorced, I'd be like, wait, what? Like, it's such a freaking trip, because you're just like, you're so used to having like that relationship every day, you know, you're seeing them every day together, and then all of a sudden like they're not together, and it's just like, it's super, super weird. And like, I do remember growing up, a lot of the time I would see people who are like children of divorce would say how like their parents' divorce affects their relationships and stuff, and I always used to think that was like a bogus excuse. I'm like, oh my god, stop making excuses, you know, like, if you really love somebody, like, you shouldn't have any of these fears, blah blah blah. But then as soon as my parents separated, it honestly became a fear of mine, because as much trust as you may have for your partner and for the relationship that you are in, just the thought of the one relationship that, you know, was supposed to work out in your life doesn't work out, you kind of start thinking, well, like, if my parents couldn't make it, what makes me think that I'm gonna make it? And as much as like you don't want to think of those type of things, or you don't want to have like that type of mentality when it comes to your relationship, it's really difficult to get out of that mentality, you know. So that's like another thing that I personally have been struggling a lot with, is just like finding the barrier of like letting that affect me and letting it not affect me, you know. And like I said, like, yes, it's difficult because it's something that is not necessarily talked about, because like I said, we're adults, you know. At this point, people just expect you to deal with your pain on your own, and they're not gonna sit with you and hold your hand and ask you like, how are you feeling, are you okay, you know. Like, I'm pretty sure if I would have gone to my job like feeling like shit, and they were like, hey Shayla, what's going on, I'd be like, oh, you know, like, my parents told me that they're divorcing, they would be like, oh, I'm sorry, but you know, we needed help today. Like, they don't care, you know, you're an adult. But it's like, when you're little, everybody's like, oh my god, like, you're like, are you okay, do you need a hug? I understand, obviously children are very innocent and you have to protect them as much as you can, but at the same time, it's like, why can't we protect adults? You know, like, adults for the most part have so much going on in their lives, and we still expect them to just like keep on going and keep on going and keep on going. And it's like, I'm just an outsider in this. Like, I can only imagine how my mom felt, and obviously, you know, like, I saw her go through what she went through, and it was really tough. It was really painful to see my mom going through that. And you know, even to this day, that like, my parents have been separated, I think, almost for 3 years now, and it's still sometimes difficult to really think about it. And I feel like it's like a really, like, it's not a very spoken subject in my household. Like, clearly everybody knows it happened, and everybody's like, you know, duh, we're all aware of it, but like, we don't talk about it. We don't. And it's so odd to me. So like, I don't know if this video has made any sense to you guys, and like, I totally had like a different idea of it, but I don't know, I kind of just started talking, and you know, like, I really just wanted to say, like, if you're someone like me who's going through this, like, you're not alone, and you know, it's difficult, and it's okay to have a hard time. It doesn't matter how old you are. Like, if your parents one day announce that they're divorcing after 30 something years of marriage, because my parents were married for that long, it's a fucking trip, and it's gonna really flip your world upside down. And you know, no, it might not hurt as much because you're no longer little and you're not like, oh, my parents, you know, but it still freaking hurts. It hurts a lot, because you're just like, my parents, like, what? Like, how? It makes no sense, you know? So yeah, I really wanted to talk about that because I know that, you know, like when I was younger, I was actually one of the only people in all of my friend groups all the time who still had married parents. And now that I'm older, it's like the opposite. It's like, I mean, I have a mixture of people who have been raised by, you know, single parents, but at the same time, the majority of them still have their parents together. And I'm just like, yeah, like my parents got divorced. So it's like, it's really, really odd. But, you know, all I can say is like, from my point of view and stuff, it's like, if you guys can't talk to your family about it, or, you know, if you guys don't want to be so open about it, you know, like, definitely seek professional help. I still have not done this to this day, and I know that it's something that I should do, and I do want to do eventually, and I know that it's really difficult, but it's just like, if you guys don't have the means to do that, you know, talk to your friends. If your friends aren't, you know, very good with these kinds of things, or they can't really relate, look for forums online, and, you know, look for groups. Like, there are so many like things that you can do to just like talk to people about it that can relate, you know, and like hopefully you guys find like a peace of mind. And I know that like a lot of us react differently to things, and some people might not care, some people might actually really, you know, take it really, really badly. But what I can say is that like, you guys aren't alone. And I know that like society makes us feel like we can't really be emotional because we're grown and stuff, but it's just like, if you want to break down and cry, break down and cry. Like, it's okay. Just because you're not a child doesn't mean that you don't have feelings, that you don't have emotions, and that you're not going to be affected by it, because you are. Like, it changes everything in your life, and it's completely okay if it does. So I hope you guys like this video, and I know it's a lot more personal than most of my videos, but it's just like something that I have been wanting to talk about for a really long time, and to hopefully like one day people will start normalizing this stuff, you know, like everybody's like, normalize this, normalize this. You know what? Normalize talking to adults and asking them if they're okay. You know, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's, you know, their parents divorce, or getting fired, or you know, ending their relationship, or anything. Just like normalize talking shit out and crying about it and being okay, and not being expected to just from one day to the next be totally fine and be like, yeah, you know, like, let's keep working, like, I'm great. Like, no, it's not okay. And that's why there's so much like anxiety and depression nowadays, because it's like there's this pressure of just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, and like don't feel anything, you know. Like, we're not robots, we're human beings. So anyway, I hope you guys like this video. And yeah, I mean, I can't really say like it, subscribe, you know, because it's kind of a weird feeling. But if you guys, you know, ever want to just like talk or something, like, I'm here. Hello. But yeah, I'll see you guys later.